Welcome and Happy New Year to another exciting edition of Live from My Office. We have a fine show for you today. Hey, who's our title sponsor? Oh, that's right. It's the great David Hochberg. Team Hochberg, 855-56-DAVID or 56david.com. In this new year, just like the old year, they're ready to help you. But you got to ask. Pick up the phone. Call them. You know the drill. All right. So on today's show, Paul Coyte, my great friend Paul Coyte, brought his beautiful family to visit us in Chicago right after Christmas, leading up and including New Year's Eve. He appeared on stage with me and with Ross Cochran and with Mike Toomey and John DeCoste and Tim Becker. At the Row, we had a great crowd. We had a great time. But he also saw a lot of Chicago with his family. His teenage children had never been to Chicago, and he and his wife showed them around, and they even got on the architectural boat tour in the winter. And he's going to review Chicago. Think of a Yelp review of Chicago done by my friend Paul from London. So we'll talk that out, amongst other things, coming up here shortly. But I want to start with this. It is a new year, and as I always tell people when it comes to New Year's resolutions, I think you should shoot lower. Just shoot for something you can achieve, or make no resolutions at all. That way, you'll never be disappointed. Make the changes in your life when you can. Sooner than later if it's something that's really bothering you, but resolutions aren't going to change your life. You know what could change your life? I'll tell you what could change your life. Just follow the path of Betty White. Look at what this amazing woman did in her life. What a career. And no one has anything negative to say about her. The tributes continue to pour out. She passed away a few days ago at the age of 99 as people were gearing up to celebrate her 100th birthday. And the Oak Park, Illinois native just made everybody happy. And I was lucky enough to interview her on a handful of occasions. Not a lot, never enough. And that's kind of the key, right? Everybody talking about Betty White. The woman lived to be 99, and people feel like they were cheated. They wanted more. And she would have happily given us more. But it was time to go home to see her beloved husband, Alan Ludden, who passed away at a young age so many years ago, way back in the 80s. All right, so Betty White, when she was on with me, always entertaining, always funny. We almost always did a book plug because she wrote, 6, 7, 8 books, maybe more. And she was delightful. So the last time I talked to her had to be somewhere between 2005 and 2010. I don't remember exactly when. But she was on the show as usual to promote a book. And I talked to her off the air, and we talked about our mutual friend, Dean Richards from Channel 9 and Jan Radio, who she was very close to, and just had a very sweet conversation just for a few seconds before she came on. And then I gave her the same flowery introduction I always did because she deserved it. And I loved having her on. And then there's a pause. I said, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Betty White. And there was nothing. Silence. And I said, Betty, are you there? And she said, yes. Yes, I'm here, but Steve, you need to understand something. I am not just a piece of meat. She was hilarious. She was always sweet and always a little salty, always a little dirty. Man, it was always brilliant. She could even throw the biggest names off. I remember seeing her on with Johnny Carson. Again, this goes back to probably the mid to late 80s. And she was talking to Carson about one of the earliest books that she wrote. And they were doing their back and forth thing. And Johnny was brilliant. And he said, Betty, as long as I've known you, I don't feel like I know you. He goes, you're somewhere between Mother Teresa and a hooker. And she laughed because she had a great sense of humor about herself. Man, there was nothing greater than seeing her give it to somebody and take it as well. And there's a great clip, which I don't know that you've seen. I had to do some digging to find this. It's Joan Rivers filling in for Johnny Carson. This is back in the early 80s, around 1983. Joan Rivers had just appeared on the cover of People magazine. And Betty White was also on the cover of a magazine, a slightly lesser known Animal magazine. And this is brilliant. This is the two of them giving it to each other. Betty White and Joan Rivers. Joan Rivers filling in on the Carson show. We're going back all the way to about 1983 when this happened.
Oh, there's the big cover girl. Well, you don't have Peekaboo on tonight, isn't that, darling? Did they go away? What happened, honey?
Just a little jealous, are you, of the old cover?
A woman your age lying on the floor saying, oh, hello, hello. You would think you were the only cover girl in town. Do you know I'm a cover girl?
I'm surprised, but probably yes. Oh,
and if you dare say, who's that other man on the cover, I
Channel review. You look fabulous in white.
I am the one in the pink jacket.
You look fabulous in white. It was just... Don't start with me.
Don't throw my cover around.
You're so jealous. I asked you to come on tonight and look glamorous, and look what you showed up in. I
like to think understated is a lot classier than all the stuff hanging out all over the... Well, it's just ridiculous, and little tassels on everything. Can you get them all going in opposite directions?
Major fan. You look wonderful. Now, do you consider yourself, seriously, because you're on a cover, not a major publication, but nonetheless...
Not a major publication. For your dogs, I tell you, that's a very major publication.
For your career, though, that's a good start. Now...
winning dog of elk hounds, that young Norwegian elk hound. You know how those Swedish girls and Nordic girls are. And I mean, she's just a real... So I'm in good company. Not out there by myself, lying there saying, hi, I'm just a kid.
It's funny because people wanted me topless, but I said no. And
weren't you? It's so hard to tell.
So hard to tell. How great is that? Betty White with Joan Rivers. And you know what else? Betty could even throw off the greats like David Letterman. Letterman made the mistake of opening up saying Betty White reminded him of his mom. Well, Betty was there to flirt, not have Dave be reminded of his mom, and she didn't let him off the hook. This goes back to early Letterman on CBS days. I think it's around 1991.
But do you? I know you socialize. I know you have a lot of friends. But do you ever like date? I mean, is that? There's no reason why you couldn't or shouldn't. But do you?
Why do you make it sound like such a remote possibility?
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Like, do you mean is there a possibility? How in the world? Oh.
Well, I guess in my case, it might seem like a remote possibility. But for you, what, I mean, you must have male friends that you sure, of course, you're always, are you?
Of course I am. I mean, waste not, want not is the way I look at it.
What does that mean exactly?
No idea. Yeah. I never know what I mean when I'm talking to you.
Betty, let's talk about the book if you ask me, and of course you won't. You're very busy. This is your seventh book?
Sixth book.
Oh, my goodness. And what's in the book? When people pick up a copy of that, what are they going to see? All about your life? Your accumulated wisdom?
Not really. It's just a bunch of short pieces on a variety of subjects, how I feel about, various things. Mm-hmm. And not that anybody cares, as I say, if you ask me, and of course you won't. But it was fun. I love to write.
Well, speaking of short pieces, how about this? What's the deal on that? Kill me. Just kill me. Go ahead, kill me right now.
I'm so sorry. I lost a bet.
Now, the reason he laughed so hard is because while your mind wandered and ran wild there, he actually held up a picture of Jay Leno. And, of course, he and Leno had the battles for years, and Leno stole The Tonight Show, right? So when Leno appeared in her book that she was on Dave's show to promote, with a big smile on her face and Jay's face, Dave gave her a hard time, and she said she was only on because she lost a bet. The great Betty White. Let me get you one more. She appeared with Sandra Bullock in the movie The Proposal. And Sandra Bullock became a good friend of hers. And Sandra Bullock, introduced Betty when Betty got her Screen Actors Guild Career Achievement Award in 2009 in her very late 80s. and she gave just a phenomenal acceptance speech. Let me roll that here for you as she's welcomed to the stage the great Betty White.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart and from the bottom of my bottom. Thank you for whatever. Oh, my dears, I can't. And the fact that this lovely lady, she is such a wonderful one with all the wonderful things that have happened to her. Isn't it heartening to see how far a girl as plain as she is can go? Years ago, when I sang on an experiment thing that was called television, who would have dreamed it would culminate in an evening like this? I should be presenting an award to you for the privilege of working in this wonderful business all this time, and you still can't get rid of me. Only 88 last Sunday, so I've got lots more stuff to do. Being in show business is like living in a small town. People greet you like neighbors, not like strangers. And through the mail, you form friendships that last for years with people you've never even met. I often wonder about people who don't have some kind of passion, something that they care so deeply about that it never fails to fascinate them. How lucky can I be to have two such passions? Show business and animals. Actually, I may have more than two passions, but that's none of your business. I am still, to this day, starstruck. I look out at this audience and I see so many famous faces. But what really boggles my mind is that I actually know many of you, and I've worked with quite a few. Maybe had a couple. And you know who you are. Back when I first started, it would never have even occurred to me to imagine such a thing as this moment. And I still can't believe I'm standing here. This is the highest point of my entire professional life. To the Screen Actors Guild, to each and every one of you, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
The great Betty White. And that's why we miss her at 99, and we wish we had more. So I look forward to a tremendous 2022, and I'm going to try to be more positive and maybe even be nicer and still be a little dirty. Hey, wait a minute. I'm just like Betty White without the dress, and imagine how funny I'd look in that. All right, so we'll continue here in just a moment. As I said at the top, a conversation with my friend Paul Coyte as he gives us sort of a Yelp review of his trip to Chicago with his family. We'll come back with that in a moment. My name is Steve Cochran. You likely, as always, know who you are, and I'm so glad you're here as we kick off 2022 on Live from My Office. If you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance your existing home, do what I did. Call Team Hochberg for money help with your house to figure it all out. He's your trusted local lender. Most listeners who secured an FHA loan after June of 2013 with a loan of greater value than 90% are going to end up paying PMI, private mortgage insurance, for the entire term of their loan. Now, this is important. Most listeners who secured an FHA loan after June of 2013 with a loan to value greater than 90% will pay private mortgage insurance for the entire term of the loan. The only way these listeners get to remove PMI is to either sell a home or refinance. Team Hochberg has helped me and thousands of podcast listeners refinance out of those FHA loans to a conventional loan to eliminate PMI and save a big, big basket of money. But they can't help if you don't call 855-56-DAVID or 56david.com. That number again is 855-563-2843 or 56david.com for Homeside Financial, an equal housing lender, NMLS number 1124061.
Coyte today. He's on the show to say whatever's on his mind, both critical or kind. Paul Coyte is from way across the pond, where Big Ben bells will ring and fish and chips are king. In Capital Gold and Virgin Radio, the Sony Award and Talksport breakfast host, Bobby Moore Club and Wembley House MC, a trained auctioneer, just pay appearance fee. He learned a lot about the States with his family, a trip to visit improve their expertise. Like when you order a cheeseburger plain, here say with or without cheese. Oi! And Paul Coyte today will speak his British way, not upper class refined. He'll speak his bloody mind.
This is live from my office. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2022. And it's an honor to welcome my friend Paul Coyte, live from London, back on Live from my office. Happy New Year, buddy.
Oh, Happy New Year. How are you?
I'm fine, and we spent the New Year together. Let me explain what happened. You and your family came here just after Christmas. We spent the whole week together, and New Year's Eve live on stage, and then New Year's Eve at my house. And we just had a wonderful time. You've got a beautiful family, and you are family, and I love you guys, and we had a great time.
We did. We had a fantastic time. So it kind of feels silly saying Happy New Year to you, but, you know, you can never say Happy New Year enough, and I mean that. So your hospitality and friendship and love, and we had a fantastic time. So thank you very much. So now we're like 4,000 miles apart, and I'm a bit sad. I've got post-holiday blues now.
Same here, yeah. And I will say that you were exceptionally good after telling me you were nervous, which was clearly a lot of bollocks. See what I did there? A lot of bollocks. But you were great on stage for our New Year's Eve show, our stand-up comedy and comedy sketches show. And the people loved you. So if you would like to fly Paul back, you have to fly his family back. But you could hire him for a birthday party or a bar mitzvah or a bat mitzvah.
Any of those.
Any of those.
Yes.
Just as long as you cover all of his expenses, you know, we're in.
I've done before. I've done one bar mitzvah. I was asked to do a bar mitzvah once, and I'd never done that before. And I was a bit freaked out by some of the Israeli dancing, because I'd never seen that before, how they hit the ground running. I mean, it was the most amazing, fantastic, joyous occasion I've been at. But I got to tell you, it did throw me when I'm thinking, what are you doing on that chair? You're gonna hurt yourself.
Sure.
You're gonna fall off of that thing. So there was that. I've done that one. I did a wedding. I was asked to be a toastmaster at a wedding a couple of months ago, so that's the so funerals. I'm looking. It's only the funerals I've never done. Have you ever been asked to do a funeral? To be a turn at a funeral?
Yes. I've. I'm 5 years older than you, so of course I have been asked to do everything. I have been a pallbearer, where you carry the casket. Yeah. I have spoken. Sure. I've done eulogies on numerous occasions, and I have also. They offered me money, and I refused to do it. But I have read the eulogies others have written. They were family members, right? And they couldn't get through it. But I've never been asked to do comedy at a funeral. Now, what's interesting about that is, there are lots of times where you have situations where, you're celebrating the life. It's someone who's lived a long time and they had a great life, and it's not all sad. And, they're called memorial services. Wakes to some extent, not the traditional Irish wake where everybody's sideways, but those are perfect for laughs. And
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
I remember funny enough, when I lost my dad, and it turned out that the funeral services were related to my family, which was quite handy because you can get yourself quite a good deal.
That's a cost
on the
saver.
Funeral, with a few free extras. You want the gold handles? Oh yeah, we can do those for half price. Oh, thanks very much. I don't mind if I do. And then they did say to it, and it was at a time where I wasn't working much, and they said, "Have you thought about being? I think it's a celebrant, isn't that right? Because they heard my speech, and they said, well, you know what? We could get you some work doing the funeral circuit." And I considered it for a while. I think my wife considered it. Sue considered it more than I did. I'm thinking, can you imagine? I know you've got to separate yourself. And I said, you could make good money doing this. It didn't actually come around that I did it because then they said you've got to go around beforehand and then you work out what you're going to, and it never worked out for me. So really, I'm not 4 weddings and a funeral. I'm 1 bar mitzvah and a wedding.
Yeah, there you go.
And no funerals yet.
And
but we'll see how things go.
And never a bris.
Never. Do you have to partake in the bris, or you stand over?
I think you stand to the side while the rabbi does most of the work, obviously.
Yeah. Can you look away? Should you? What is the way of doing it? Do you look away? Are you supposed to look away? You're supposed to look at what's going on? Because for me, I don't know. I don't know what.
I can tell you right now, I still look away at my own. You know, I don't even look at mine. So,
yes.
And there's no rabbis in the room at the time. So
that's. Okay, fine.
So you got to keep that
good practice for the future.
All right, now a couple of questions before I ask you about America, because what I'd like you to do is what amounts to a Yelp review of America.
Right, okay,
because even though you've been here many times, and your lovely wife Sue has been here many times, your children, your teenage children were here for the first time. So I'm going to go through a number of things and ask you to review them Yelp style.
Okay.
And I know Yelp's not a British thing, but you know the deal 4 or 5 stars or 1 star, whatever. But before we get to that, what is in England, if not all of Great Britain, when do you take down Christmas decorations? When should they be down?
Right. I am, funny you should say that, in the middle of this right now, which is a nightmare. I can't believe how much stuff. I mean, I was so impressed. Your house was beautiful, and the amount of decorations,
That's
and
Maureen.
you got the space
That's all
for it.
Maureen.
I don't know where she puts them all, but I'm putting them all up in the loft in the attic here, and it's a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare. I've been outside trying to pull lights off of this holly bush, and I've got blood on my hands, and my fingers are so cold I couldn't even feel the cuts. Which I'm feeling now, and I'm loading the stuff up. And from what before fit in the corner of my attic, is now taken over half of my attic, and I have no idea why. It's just like a bad jigsaw. I'm trying to put the whole thing together. And the date for us is the 6th, because that's 12th night, I believe. 12th, it's got to be down by the 6th. So if you're not down by the 6th, it's bad luck on your house for a year. And you're in all sorts of trouble. So why mess with it? Get it down, get it out of the way, and put it away. There are people that go with the whole year thing. And just go, well, you know, it's just ridiculous. But are you still?
And I work.
Are you still there?
Yes, and we have them up, but they're coming down. The interior stuff's come down.
Right.
And they'll be down this week. It's interesting you say the 6th, because I did not know that. And January 6th here last year was the Trump riots on the Capitol.
Oh,
so it seems like that would be a good marker for us as well. Each year, get your holiday lights and decorations down before the rioting begins from the lunatics that still follow Trump. That's kind of a marker for us too now.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I don't know whether there's a link there somewhere, the bad luck for a year where it kicked off there on the 6th, or was it the people that were so pissed off that they never actually managed to get the decorations down in time, that they were very angry as well, that was welling up inside of them. There could well be some. I mean, people may say I'm making light about this, but I think there could be something involved in it. Because let's face it, it's tradition, and it's not just made up for any reason whatsoever, Steve.
No, and we'll do a full investigation. But the other question I had for you is, when do you stop saying Happy New Year?
Yeah, that's a tricky one, isn't it? I've had different rules on that, and I usually go with the whole of January if I haven't seen anybody, or if there's someone I haven't seen.
Got it.
The whole of January is how are you and Happy New Year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Happy New Year and all over the place. I'm getting sick of saying it all the time now, but I still can't help myself. So it's usually if you see someone for the first time, I think probably the rule would be 2-3 weeks tops. Wouldn't you?
I think 2 or 3 weeks is fair, but I sort of like your all of January. If it's someone you haven't seen for the month or spoken to for the month, why not?
Yeah, what do you say if you see someone in January, the first, did you have a good Christmas? You have a good Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Yes.
And so maybe choose one of those. How was your Christmas?
This is why we're here. This is why we're here. We're here to help. We're here to help and educate. Yeah. We're all about learning.
But how do you then respond, which has happened to me twice? There's a woman who is the newsreader on my show, and I said, did you have a good Christmas? She went, no, it was terrible. I had a 4-hour panic attack yesterday. So there's not really a lot you can go, Well, I'm sorry to hear that. But the thing is, do you say, why did you have a bad Christmas? Or do you just go, I'm really sorry to hear that? That's a tricky one. I don't really know how to handle.
I think I'm really sorry to hear that. And, when we get off the air, I'd love for you to tell me more. And then when you get off the air, run for your car as fast as you can. So, you don't have to hear the rest of that. But I would also say that's a great test if somebody's listening. Because, sometimes when they say, Merry Christmas, how was your Christmas? They're not really listening. And if you go, it was awful, I had a 4-hour panic attack, and then you say something like, oh, me too. That tells people you're not listening.
Yeah, or go, oh, great.
Right.
Anyway, and then, and that's also a sign of not listening. And I'm sure they get a few of those, but I always will go, oh, really? So everything okay? And then, after a while, then you have to call it after about half an hour. Don't you? Probably half an hour.
Yes.
It's only fair.
Yes. Well,
because
life's short.
I'm not being funny, but you may have had a bad Christmas, but you still should at least ask how mine was. Also.
Yes.
Because it's good manners.
Yes.
No matter how bad it is, you still go, everything was terrible. The house burned down. I didn't get any presents. Everybody hates me. Nothing happened, and New Year or something. But how are you? And I go, actually, it was great, thanks. I went to Chicago and I had a great time.
Right. Well, but
So
there's a bit of selfishness to someone who says it was awful. I had a 4-hour panic attack and all that. That's a cry for attention.
It is absolutely cry for help.
And even though it's show business and it's on the air, so now you have to respond in some way. But that's a cry for attention, because generally the polite thing to do, even if your entire family was kidnapped and you've lost everything because you went on another drunken gambling binge. If somebody says, how was your Christmas? You would go, well, it wasn't perfect, but, it's a special time of year. Because people don't want to hear how bad things are for you.
Exactly. It's just like you're walking past someone and you say, oh, hi, how are you? You go, yeah, fine, thanks. How are you? I'm good, thanks. Even if you're not fine, even if you're dying, you're still going to say, I'm fine, thanks, because it's just a greeting. It's not actually a true question to say, how are you? Actually, I'll be honest with you. I've got scurvy or something like that. You can't say that because that's not really selfish. What's being asked. Selfish. You just say, I'm fine. It's just like saying hello. So please, I know people know the rules. They just don't go with the rules. No. So that makes me crazy.
No.
There's no need.
And I think I told you this before, but because it goes with the discussion, because it's narcissism, right? It's all about me. Let me tell you how bad my things are.
Yeah.
So 15 years ago, I had to go to the hospital. I had something called a pulmonary embolism, which could have killed me. It's a blood clot in your lungs.
Yeah, sure.
So I was out of work and off the radio at that point for, 4 or 5 days. So when I came back, everybody at the radio station was very polite, very nice, all concerned. Oh, so great to see you. Are you okay? Are you okay? Everybody. Now, in our sales department, we had a woman, beautiful woman, in at one point a very good friend of mine. And it's not like we weren't friends, but we had fallen off.
Yeah.
And so everybody is, how are you? How are you? How are you? I'm good. Thank you. I'm good. I see her and I said, how are you? And she said, great. I'm training for the marathon. And she kept walking. No acknowledgement of, I know you almost died. I'm glad you're back. Nothing.
So she knew.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. She sold advertising on my show. Her income was dependent on me. So for that reason.
Oh, that's just precious, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Hey, I'm training for the marathon.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I love people.
she did keep walking. She didn't actually stand there and say, I'm training for the marathon, wait for you to go, oh, well, what are you up to now?
Yeah, no.
There was in the moment.
There was a moment of that, but I kept walking. Once that was dead, that was the reaction. All right, so let me get to the review of America. Again, this is to help you, the international traveler who comes to America. This is Paul Coyte's family, because I know you guys talk about all the things you did together. Paul Coyte's, the Coyte family review of America for 2022. Let's begin with O'Hare Airport. How did you find the O'Hare Airport International Terminal?
I have to be perfectly honest with you here. O'Hare was a joy. It was a joy. It was expected. The first time I ever went to the United States on my own, I was 21, and it was into Minneapolis, St. Paul Airport, and I was kept there for like 6 hours because I wasn't trusted that I would fly back and go back to my job. And they searched through my diaries. They searched through everything.
Wow.
And I'm saying, look, I'm going to be going home. I do have a job to go back to. And they didn't believe me. I just had to sit in the terminal forever. Whereas this one was completely opposite. Obviously, there's age differences. I had all the right documentation, which took forever, and I sailed through. Usually I get to customs, and I know there's going to be an extremely long queue. So I know that's going to be there. I'm going to be lined up for ages. And I got in the line, and I was first through, and the luggage was there, and it was a joy. So I have no problem.
All right,
on
so
the way
5
back,
stars? 5 stars?
5 stars.
Okay.
Terminal 5 on the way back was horrendous. After you left me there, and I went into Terminal 5, where British Airways is, and there was some it was some Asian fusion food thing, which was just a bunch of slop put into a piece of cardboard and let your country down. Quite frankly, I wish I could remember the name of it, and it must have cost me $50 for 2 of these things, and it was, quite frankly, inedible and disgusting. So that let the side down, but on the whole, O'Hare, I would say, was very impressive.
All right, so let's go with 5 stars for O'Hare, but airport food, 1 star. Yeah. No stars.
1 star. 1 star. No star. And I'll tell you another thing. I went to the Dunkin' Donuts in Terminal 5 on the way back. This is after I'm leaving the country, waiting for my plane. And I said, could I have 2? I'd like the chocolate donut and the pink donut, please, with the sprinkles on, and a coffee. And the guy gives me 2 croissants. And I said, look, I didn't ask for croissants. And he said, yeah, you did. He said, you said 2 croissants. You said 2 croissants. I said, no, I didn't. He said, well, which one? And I said, well, the pink one. And anyway, gave me 2 pink ones. I was very unhappy. And I was a bit intimidated by him. So I just took them away and made do with those. So again, on the way back, not impressed. And also, the choice of fridge magnets in the store in Terminal 5, very poor. And I had a fridge magnet. It didn't even have a picture of the bean on. That's how old they were.
Okay, all right. So listen, so here's what we're going to do then.
Yeah.
We're going to say 5 stars for airport operations in general, but 1 star for gifts and food.
Yes, in Terminal 5. In my bib. Yes,
okay.
Yeah,
all right. Now, you get to downtown Chicago. You stayed at the Westin on Michigan Avenue, a hotel I know well.
Yeah.
How did you find your accommodations there?
Found the accommodation very nice. Very comfortable beds. I'd phoned up and asked for a twin room and a double room, and with connecting, which they did that without any problem at all. Often you turn up and you don't have that, but they did that. That was very good. No restaurant in there, which was unfortunate. I did try and hire a car, and there was nobody to actually help me with that, which was a little disappointing. But on the whole, I was very happy there, and everything was fine.
All right, so we gave it a Westin 4 stars.
4 stars, I will give 4 stars. Yeah, just missed out on the 5.
Shopping on Michigan Avenue or in Chicago in general?
Shopping on Michigan Avenue, the weather was inclement.
Yes, it was.
Can I take away can I include the weather in the shopping? Or
you probably can't. So why don't we just include this stuff where you actually got into something, where you went into something?
Yeah, I got into something I enjoyed. Yeah, it was very good. Quite pricey, I found.
That's amazing. Coming from London, if you say it's expensive here.
It was. Maybe it's something to do with the exchange rate. I don't know, but I did find it a little pricey. But I did find all the shop assistants extremely helpful, extremely friendly, and I will give 4.5. I'll give it 4. No, I'll give it 4. I'll give it 4 because it was still a bit pricey. So I'll give a 4 for Michigan Avenue. For the outlets, it's got to be a 5. Very good, very enjoyable. And I bought 12 pairs of underpants. So I was very happy with those.
We should probably explain that underpants are called what?
They're called pants. Pants. 5 pairs of pants.
No, but pants,
which we would call.
Pants makes you guys laugh.
Trousers.
Because you call pants trousers. And what do you call underwear, underpants?
Pants. Just pants.
All right, so the pants,
underwear.
The pants are the underwear. The pants go under the trousers. And here in America, that means you're wearing 2 pair of pants.
Exactly, yeah. So you wear pants and then you wear trousers over your pants.
Yes.
Pants or jeans, but pants is underwear. So,
all right, now I also have to ask you about the world's largest Starbucks on Michigan Avenue. This is something that your coffee drinking family look forward to. You made, if I remember correctly, 3 attempts and you never got in.
Yeah, it was very tricky. It was like a very exclusive club, and there was lines or queues as we were coming around the block. I mean, what did they want in there? I mean, I looked in there, and we went to another Starbucks, which was fine. Why would there be such a big line? It's like, we have our own special roast. And it's like, come on. Right. Is this like Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory is like the best roast? Is it going to be any different? Is it going to be, because it's the world's biggest Starbucks, that coffee is going to taste extra tasty? Yeah. I didn't buy that for a second. Yeah. So you wouldn't catch me in line, sir, for that. I just walked past the window and thought, no, not for me. If it's that big, surely there's room for everybody. And obviously there wasn't.
So let's say bad crowd management at Starbucks. Yes. In Starbucks as a product, I know you are a big fan. That's probably 4 stars. But the Starbucks on Michigan Avenue, I would say 1 star because you weren't even, they couldn't even figure out a way to get in.
Couldn't get in. Too many people browsing. I mean, who would buy Starbucks clothing? There was a guy that I saw. He looked like he was wearing something. He was trying something on. It looked like a jacket made out of a sack that would hold coffee beans. And it was like, I'm sure that's what he was wearing. And I'm looking through the window, and I was saying to my son Joe, and I'm saying, does this guy know what he looks like? And he's going, well, there's something. You look like you're wearing a sack with a design on. And it was and I think he was taken in. He was seduced by the world's largest Starbucks.
Sure, and he probably paid $200 for it. Sure, $200 or $300.
Yeah, exactly. He wanted to drink the coffee. I'm just not sure about the clothing. But
now, the amazing thing about that Starbucks. Now, I'm not a Starbucks drinker, but or a coffee drinker. But the amazing thing about that Starbucks is, I believe that's where the old Crate and Barrel store used to be, and it was 5 floors. Yeah. What could you spread out on 5 floors? Because I've not been in there, and I live here. But what could you spread out on 5 floors? This goes to what you were talking about before. Does the coffee taste any different? What do they have? A croissant floor where the guy from the airport works? Do they have a sugar and milk floor? A Splenda corner? I don't understand.
I mean, what do they have? Waxworks of famous Starbucks drinkers? Or maybe come and see the largest mug in the world? I don't know. Well, how are you going to attract people?
I don't get it.
Say, listen, we've got to make a coffee event. That's what we've got to do. Yeah. It's going to be it's the world of coffee. It's like the M&M store. Let's have a little Starbucks this and Starbucks that. Getting carried away.
The M&M store is a great example. The M&M store at Times Square in New York City. You know what's in the M&M store? M&Ms.
Yeah. M&Ms, and that's it. And you know what? They've got one over here, and then people flock there, but M&Ms aren't even that big there. And I've walked in and gone, I don't see what the big deal is with this. It's just M&Ms everywhere, and a little model of an M&M. And so, I just maybe I'm the wrong age, but it just hasn't worked for me. So no, Starbucks store, the world's largest Starbucks. Why? I don't know. I thought it was big to get more people in, but it didn't seem to be that way.
Now, you took your kids and your wife on the architectural boat tour. This is a fantastic tour.
It was.
It is world-renowned, but generally people don't do it in the winter. So how was your experience?
No. It was cold. It was very cold. Going out was okay because I'd just come from indoors. I really enjoyed it. I mean, the tour was great. I mean, it was really interesting and learn about the different architecture, and it was great. It was a great way to see the city, which was fantastic. It was as the turn, half an hour in, that's when the cold kicked in. And then as they got back to near the Tribune building there, and I thought they're just going to pull in, then they went out, heading out to the lake, and I'm just thinking, no, let's just end this now. And it's like, well, Terminal, we're going to stop for a while and photographs. My hands were too cold to actually use my phone, so I couldn't actually take a photograph. So I'm just thinking, just use the memories.
Sure,
so that's what it was. Sure. It was the memories.
Sure.
It was a very enjoyable tour. I'm actually, it's lovely in the summer. It's a beautiful tour. So it was great in the winter. It was just too darn cold.
All right. So again, since we can't take points off for weather, that's a 5-star then.
Okay, fine. Yeah, a 5-star. Definitely a 5-star. Very enjoyable.
All right. So what about public transportation? Because you took a cab. I don't remember if you took an Uber. I know you took a train. What's your thoughts on public transportation in Chicago?
I thought I was expecting a train to head out towards Naperville area. I was expecting an uncomfortable train. I've got to admit, I thought it was going to be a bit like plastic chairs with a dip that actually makes it comfortable, and to be able to sit on that for an hour and a half. And I thought this is not going to be good. And looking again, I didn't expect comfort. And when I saw like a double decker thing, I was very impressed. I was very impressed. plenty of space in there. And we remarked is that when the conductor, you call him the conductor that comes around, clicks
Sure,
in,
why not?
Yeah,
sure.
The conductor. And you have that little, and it reminded me of Polar Express. You know when you go
click, click.
With the clicker.
Yeah.
And I loved that.
Yeah.
Why he had to do it 3 or 4 times, I don't know. But if that's what they do, that's what they do. But I very much enjoyed that. Lovely views out the window. It was a lovely way to spend an hour or so, and I very much enjoyed that. Yes. Good.
All right.
5 star.
So it's 5 stars on public transportation. And
Yes.
I guess the only other thing I'd be curious about is, because I know you had a great time at our New Year's Eve show. Everybody was great, and the audience, most importantly, was tremendous.
Yeah.
But the people, when we last got together as families, we were in New York. And when people heard your accent, again and again and again, they apologized and wanted to make sure you knew that they didn't vote for Donald Trump.
Correct.
So this time around in Chicago, when people heard your accent, I know they kept telling your wife how cute she was. Well, she is cute, but it was an accent related thing. But how did you find the people of Chicago this time around?
Very friendly. I was upset that nobody actually said to me, "I love your accent. Can you say something?" Which didn't happen. It happened when I was young. Doesn't really happen. Well, it didn't happen to me at all. Mm-hmm. And I found that disappointing. So I expected maybe a little comment on the accent or anything else. But everybody was extremely friendly. Do I have any problem with anybody? Was anybody that was annoying? I don't think there were anybody.
No.
I think everywhere I went, it was nice to be able to have a chat with people. You know, even like people, apart from in the airport, the guy in the airport, we didn't get on. Mm-hmm. But apart from that, everybody was really nice. And, it was not overly fake nice, because you can get the people in service, which is, "Hi, how are you?" And have a nice day, and all this sort of stuff, which you kind of see through and you think, you really want me to have a nice day? But I believed everybody was very nice and very sincere and enjoyed the conversation and lovely. So absolute 5+ on that. Absolute 5-star plus.
All right, so the people were great. Overall, with very few exceptions, this was at least a 4-star trip.
Oh, without doubt. Without doubt. I would say 4.5, if not 5-star, because I loved every minute of it. Without a doubt. Every minute of it. We had a lovely, lovely time.
We had a great time. And by the way, I want to clear something up, because you always make jokes, understandably, because, cliches happen because they're true. And you make jokes about the British propensity to apologize.
Yes,
everybody apologizes. I was watching the Beatles. I finally getting around to watching Get Back, the Beatles documentary from Peter Jackson.
Yeah.
And so I'm watching it, and it amazes me, because initially I expected John Lennon would be bossy and rubbing people the wrong way. And maybe it gets to that later, because I'm only in the first episode. But Paul McCartney's doing all the talking. And there's a point, where and you have to keep in mind that the setting of this is just shortly before the band broke up. So they've been together for years at this point. And there's a setting where they're sitting around and they're trying to noodle around and trying to come up with the music for their last album. And as they're doing it, there's clearly tension in the room. And and Paul says, very politely and in a very British way, "I just seem like I'm annoying you. And I'm not here.
George.
I'm not here to annoy you. I'm here to. I just want to find our way. That would be guys hitting each other over the heads with guitars, screaming at each other, having sex with the other guy's wife. American bands. But even the Beatles were very polite when they were sick of each other.
He's like, it's every word. Have you noticed how it have a little counter, and every time you hear Paul say, because that's his phrase, and he even says it today. And even when you look back, the thing is, George, because it's I'm just trying to, and then George is like, "You just tell me what to play. You just tell me what to play." And I was like, well, George, it's like, and it's like, well, is actually, I'm feeling a little uncomfortable here, so I throw in while I'm trying to work out what I'm going to say. But what do you think of it, though? Do you like it?
Tremendous.
Do you feel as if,
it's tremendous.
With the quality, and I said to you when I was over, it humanizes them, and you just find it's a true. You really do feel like a fly on the wall, don't you? It's just great.
You do. I wonder if people who aren't involved in some aspect of show business and have spent time in studios, I wonder if they get bored by it. But I think if you're a true fan of the Beatles, and how could you not be, you got to be fascinated by it. And it also appears to alleviate Yoko of all guilt in regards to breaking up the Beatles because she couldn't have been more pleasant and she didn't screech once.
Oh, you haven't got to that yet. You wait until the second episode when she goes in the studio and starts screaming. Oh, the screeching happens, my friend. Don't even for a moment think you've got away with that. Don't you even think you got away with that.
All right. Well, here's your spoiler alert. Your spoiler alert is she didn't break up the Beatles even if she did screech. Yeah, she screams. A little scream, John brought her in and she started screeching.
Yeah, get rid of her.
Well, my friend, it was an absolute joy to have you and your family in America. We appreciate the positive reviews. And
thank you.
And
thank you
very
got
much. No compensation for that. But we look forward to seeing you in London later this year.
We look forward to that. Happy New Year to you and all your excellent listeners as well. And still the best podcast in the business. So Happy New Year. Thank you.
If you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance the one you're in, do what we all do. We call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Who are the we in we all? It's everybody I've worked with. It's my family. It's people who ask me for advice, and I tell them Team Hochberg is not only legit, they're the best in the business. That's not a recommendation you can get wrong, by the way. If you tell somebody, hey, that mortgage you're doing, the biggest financial transaction of your life, here's somebody you ought to use. And then they turn out to be, a shyster? Oh, you don't want a shyster. Then you are going to be on their blacklist forever. I have no problem recommending Team Hochberg. I have and I will. And after hearing thousands of Team Hochberg ads, Jody called for a free consultation. She's happy she did. Team Hochberg helped Dan and Jody secure a cash-out refinance, pay off most of their credit cards, and save over $2,700 a month. That's a lot of money. So before calling, Dan and Jody were overwhelmed and stressed out. After, David Hochberg eliminated over $70,000 of debt and saved them over $30,000 a year. Team Hochberg helped me and thousands of my podcast listeners use their homes and their home's equity to eliminate debt. They helped Dan and Jody, but look, they can't help you if you don't call. And if you think, Steve, you didn't really talk about my issue. Anything involving the financing, the refinancing, the money in your home, well, you need to pick up the phone because Hochberg has an expert that can help, or he'll do it himself. All he wants to do is save you a little money, like Dan and Jody. Can't help you if you don't call. 855-56-DAVID or 56david.com, 855-563-2843, or 56david.com for Homeside Financial, an equal housing lender, NMLS number 1124061. Thank you to my friend Paul Coyte for appearing live on New Year's Eve. And again, thanks to all of you who came out to the show. We had a great crowd. And thanks to all the great people at the Row in Crystal Lake, too. Much more stand-up coming up in 2022 because, I got time. And much more of this podcast, which I hope you enjoy and I hope you'll spread the word on. It's called Live from My Office. Hand your phone to the nearest 7-year-old if you need help figuring out how to make sure you get every episode. It's called subscribing to it. Subscribe, like, rate and review if you like. Wherever you find podcasts, you can do it on Apple and Spotify and all the podcast locations, and certainly at CochranShow.com as well. Thank you to Ross Cochran, who also appeared on New Year's Eve. It was great. And that was so much fun for me. And I think for him as well. You'd have to ask him. But anyway, Ross is the executive producer of this, and it doesn't get done without him either. We got a couple of things I wanted to mention to you. The Deep Six will continue in 2022. My friend Patty Steele, live in New York, me in Chicago, talking about 6 stories that we know you're going to be talking about. We'll have another one of those episodes coming up in a few days. And Patty and I share another hook, and that is we both have people in our lives we love deeply who have survived addiction. Mine is my brother Mickey, who I've spoken about many, many times. Mickey has special needs. He got clean and sober after several attempts in 2003 on New Year's Day and just celebrated 18 years of sobriety, and I couldn't be more proud of him. And in addition to that, Patty's son Jake, who's just in his 20s, is clean and sober and helping others as well. So we've got a special edition of the Deep Six coming up where we talk about addiction and how it can affect anybody from somebody from my brother's circumstances to somebody from Jake's circumstances. And I'm looking forward to hearing that. And Patty and I both hope it'll help some of you. We always mention charities on these episodes. So how about a charity that honors Betty White? The American Humane Association was one of the first animal rights charities that she got involved with. They've shortened their name to American Humane at americanhumane.org. And she would love if you supported them. And if you go to the show notes, you see all sorts of things on how to stay in touch with the folks we have on the podcast or links to the subjects we discuss. No exception with this round, because we also have there a CNN story with 5 or 6 animal charities that Betty White supported and would love if you support as well. Before I go, one final note. With great condolences and sadness, the loss of Jeff Dickerson. I did not know Jeff well. I barely knew Jeff, as a matter of fact. But I knew his work, and he was a great reporter. And we just continue to say prayers for his son, Parker. Parker lost his mom 5 or 6 years ago, and Jeff is gone now as well. And I know his mom's family is taking great care of Parker. Jeff's family, I'm sure, is involved as well. But it won't be easy on that little boy. And thank you if you donated to the GoFundMe page that Jeff's sister-in-law set up. Lots of money has been raised for Parker's future. But prayers and hugs for that boy and what he's gone through. And Jeff, you brought so much joy to people's lives. I am so sorry to not have you and your wife here. And it's really on all of us in the broadcast and podcasting community to make sure that Parker continues to be taken care of as he grows up and hopefully becomes exactly what he wants to be in life. And in all likelihood, that's a man like his dad. So that's it for now. And we will see you next time with the Deep Six with my friend Patty Steele. Information on the special edition coming up on addiction. And we're also going to check in soon with Congressman Quigley, who lived through January 6th in D.C., and see what his thoughts are 1 year later. That's just a piece of what we have on Live from My Office. Thank you for being here.
30 years plus on the airwaves, you have turned your dial to me. Now you're tuned into my podcast. It's Live from My Office, Steve. From Ithaca, New York, to Carolina South, W. Cochran Steve. From Minneapolis and then Chicago twice, top-rated shows achieved. Sit back, relax, and now listen to my show. When or wherever you are, 'cause you're on the go. A-list celebs with some laughs and great info. Live from my office, the Steve Cochran Podcast Show. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No better place to be. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Subscribe and like for free. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Live from my office, Steve. So glad you're with me. It's Live from my office, Steve.
Thank you for listening to Live from My Office, a service of Monkey Run Productions. All rights reserved. The podcast is hosted by Steve Cochran, and it's mixed, edited, and produced by me, Ross Cochran. Support the show by subscribing wherever you're listening and by telling your friends about it. Follow Steve on all social media channels, including Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And make sure you check out this episode's show notes for relevant information discussed during the conversations. You can also email the show directly at thecochranshow@gmail.com with any questions or comments. And that's the best place to tell us about your favorite nonprofit so we can make sure we mention them on the next episode. Steve is available for corporate speaking gigs. He would love to MC your event. And occasionally, he's funny. Thank you for listening. Head to cochranshow.com for more.